Ever since people were able to make 3D models and go around in these 3D spaces, video games have used that to make their own kind of environments that align with their own kind of stories to them. After Pathways into Darkness, Bungie started working on Marathon, and Marathon was a first-person shooter that was credited to be the first first-person shooter where you can look up and down. That's a mouthful. Something that Marathon innovated when it came to first-person shooter games is it made its environments not very linear and not very dungeon-like, but they made their environments almost explorable, and you could tell that this was on a ship or this was in an ancient civilization. Marathon's level design was accompanied by a terminal entry that told you what was going on, where you are, and what is the objective. In the mission G-Force Sunbathing, personally the best level in the game, you, the security officer, are tasked with installing data chips that you have collected from the previous level into a satellite on top of the Marathon. To get to the point where you deposit your items, you must go through different switches that open doors that you previously could not access. After that, you go through all the locked doors, you individually place each of the chips into the room with the communicating to the Earth, letting them know what happened to Tau City 4. Bungie could have just stopped with making the mission as simple as that, but they went above and beyond by limiting the amount of time that you could spend without having to go back to a oxygen refilling station, and the limited amount of weapons that you could use in the mission. These mechanics kind of made it feel like the player was kind of in space, in a deprivation sort of setting, as opposed to just the inside hallways in the Marathon that felt kind of cluttered. Marathon was a step in the right direction when it came to designing first-person shooters and kind of set a standard for how Bungie would incorporate their different maps and levels into the overall story of their next titles.
The Covenant believe that what they call the silent cartographer is somewhere under this island. The cartographer is a map room that will lead us to Halo's control center. The island has multiple structures and installations. One of them contains the map room.
We're approaching the LZ. It's gonna be hot. Get set to cut out quick. Touchdown! Hit it, Marines!
Bungie started to work on Halo Combat Evolved in the late 90s, where it originally was an RTS game, until they decided to make it a first-person viewing angle, and they thought, oh hey, that would be the most fun. Halo Combat Evolved took place in many different locations on Alpha Halo, such as a desolate mesa with the entrance to one of the Covenant's large ships, or an ancient facility in the middle of nowhere, or in the middle of the swamps that held the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Halo CE had many different levels that shine in their own respective lights. One mission that I'd like to take a look at is attacking the control room. This mission starts with you, the Master Chief, arriving on an island that is fully explorable and holds the control room to the ring, which could kill the whole entire galaxy. The player feels very immersed when going through this island, as there are higher ranking combatants on different parts of the island that need more security, kind of like, oh hey, I need to get to this place, oh I need to fight harder than what I just fought through. Halo Combat Evolved's atmosphere was just really mysterious, yet kind of familiar, with all the levels being set or taking place on a ring, yet having all these different places that look familiar to us. As the player plays the game, they go down into the ring and discover all these different mysterious things that the foreigners tried to put under, and they realize that, oh shit, maybe this ring isn't like some peaceful planet. Oh, but maybe it's something that's hiding something that is really deadly, or something that could kill the entire galaxy. Combat Evolved also came with, I think, a dozen different multiplayer maps that all had their own like little, unique little twists to them. Each multiplayer map was set on the ring or set somewhere else, yet they all were mysterious and they didn't all have some like type of story to them. Yet you just fought on them, and that is just something that I can really appreciate about them, is that they don't have stuff like that, because it just adds to this mystery that the Forerunners were kind of like this being that made all these different weird little structures, yet you didn't know the purpose of. Halo Combat Evolved wasn't just a technological advancement, but it was also showing that, hey, maybe putting these 3D models could make this awesome video game that is just really fun and, if you actually look into it, really nice. Halo CE's campaign levels were a masterpiece, to say the least, and I recommend playing Halo Combat Evolved at least once, just to get the feel for what Bungie or what any other game back then would have looked like. Halo has always had its own environments that felt unique to their own game, whether that be the large environments that you go through or the interconnected levels. Also, the multiplayer maps each had their own sort of balancing, and they were fair, unlike some games today where they just choose a 3-lane and call it a day. Halo 2 and 3 made remarkable Halo maps that just felt awesome, and also their levels were they were beautiful. They stretched on, they felt like they didn't feel linear at times sometimes, and some of the areas being used for the Scarab boss fights were just perfect for what they were. After Halo 3 was released, Bungie made Halo 3 ODST and Halo Reach. Both of those games showed the perspectives of different characters other than the Master Chief, and also in different times. Well, actually, one was in the same time as Master Chief, but yeah. Both these games really gave a wider perspective on the Halo universe, as number one, the Halo 3 ODST game gave a perspective on what happened in New Mombasa after the entire like Slipslace drive, and just like the importance of getting that one Covenant engineer. Halo 3 ODST was special because it went places that normally you wouldn't find in a Halo campaign. For example, a zoo or a human site that holds like really important data. Also, the characters are just like, they're very small compared to their surroundings, and it just feeds into like this abandoned city that's like overrun with a bunch of bad guys. Definitely, I'd like to see this type of style be iterated in upcoming titles such as Marathon, or even just something that 343 or Halo Studios could do on the side that could be like a record-breaking game, and just a game that isn't like too oversaturated in some sort of live service instead of some actually good story. On the other hand, Halo Reach put the Covenant as this enemy that was really resilient and just could not be defeated whatsoever. Halo Reach was set on a planet that was basically failing, and a planet that was just going to die at any moment, and you were the character that was like the last hope for humanity. Halo Reach is this game that Bungie made, their last Halo game, and it could have led into more games just in that graphic style, because it wasn't really colorful. It was mostly just dark, harsh, but it still felt like Halo. It felt like something wasn't right, in that this game might not end out well, but it's still gonna be a game that kind of sinks the souls of many other people. I don't know what to say. Also, one thing I'd like to add into this section before I end it is Forge World by Halo Reach was one of the best decisions of all time. Like putting a blueprint on a map on the Halo ring, like a map with a bunch of other miniature maps, but also just like the ability to edit these like little islands and to like make your own maps on was just really sick. And that's just something that has been missing from Halo games and just like many other games, is just like that creative aspect. Like that creative aspect, it's not like fully creative, but you can make it creative if you want to make it.
Isn't this interesting? I miscalculated. So did you, Guardian. So protective of your traveler that you wouldn't let me keep it safe. But the witness is coming. The game is yours to play now. Yours to win or lose. Just don't say I didn't warn you.
Bungie's next game, Destiny, followed basically what Halo had in terms of their environments being kind of tied to the story. But the thing about Destiny is that each environment was like an open space, except if you're in the missions, then it was more of a linear space. But these open spaces, you could do public events, and you could just do these bounties that helped you further up level your character. The Beyond Light campaign has the player going around the planet Europa trying to harness the power of the dark, and in that one campaign you go through this one section that is basically an ancient human, not ancient human, but just like a almost extinction human structure. You have to understand Destiny stuff to understand it, but essentially it was like overrun by enemies, and it also just felt like it was being used as like a home base of some sorts. All these campaign missions were just tied to this one planet, Europa, and it was just so cool to see how each of these different clans or factions basically put up their ground in Europa, and what the fate of Europa is that lies in the Guardians' hands alone. In Destiny 2, I did this one mission called Seraph's Shield, in which I had to go onto a space elevator and go up into this satellite that was like infested with, I think it was like, I forgot what they're called. They're Fallen, and essentially, like, that mission was very cool because like there were certain elements, like these like targets I had to shoot, or these buttons I had to press with like this one debuff or buff on. It was really intricate, and it felt like a real game. It kind of felt like Marathon in a way, because I was in space. Overall, Destiny 2 was a shooter that didn't feel as calm as Halo, but it was still like rich in storytelling and just like the going through and just like the not linearness, if that's what you call it, yeah. So, with Marathon coming around the corner, I thought it would be a nice little video to make about just like the maps and whatnot of other video games. See how that can be incorporated into an extraction shooter like Escape from Tarkov. But you know, I'm going to make a video on other games. It's going to be a second part to this video. So yeah, hopefully Marathon hopefully can have that, and I genuinely would be happy that just if Marathon was able to capture the feelings of old Halo Reach, and just like the storytelling, and also using like that extraction shooter, like storytelling with all the traders and the, what's it called, terminals and whatnot. That would genuinely be awesome. But yeah, sorry it took me 2 months to make this video. School has been kind of beating my ass, so yeah, I need to lock in. So yeah, thank you for the patience, and yeah, y'all have a great time or great day. Give it 120.